Supreme Commander Vomar slammed his clawed fist on the control panel, crushing it, as he received news of one planet left unconquered in the millennia-long Krogloth campaign of galactic domination. The vicious warlord scoffed. He did not believe the primitive world called Earth could pose any threat to his vast empire that had enslaved thousands of star systems. Subjugate the humans. Let their blood run in the streets as an example, the scarred warrior growled to his subordinate Krelvok. Take 50 battleships, raise their cities, round up the survivors for labor camps. Vomar glared out the viewport at the endless void of space, not knowing that the humans of Earth would soon make him regret this order more than anything in his centuries-long reign of terror. Krelvok's eyes narrowed as the human fleet came into view on the display. The recon drones had shown only the barest traces of spacefaring technology on this backwater planet. He certainly hadn't expected a military response, let alone a coordinated one. "All ships prepare for battle. Launch fighters," Krelvok barked. Around him the bridge crew scrambled to carry out his orders. He could hear the heavy footsteps of warriors rushing to their posts. The human ships were sleek and heavily armed, bristling with railguns and missile pods. They moved in perfect formation, like a pack of predators circling their prey. Krelvok had to admit he was impressed by their discipline. "Sir, they're hailing us," one of the communications officers said. "Ignore it," Krelvok growled. "They'll soon learn that the Krogloth do not negotiate." The first volley of railgun fire caught the Krogloth fleet off guard. The humans had managed to get in range, while Krelvok was distracted. He watched in disbelief as two of his warships were torn apart by the barrage, their hulls breached and venting atmosphere. "Return fire! Destroy them!" Krelvok roared. The Krogloth ships opened up with their own weapons, filling the void with plasma bolts and missiles. But the human vessels were too quick, darting in and out of range with incredible speed. They seemed to anticipate every move the Krogloth made, as if they had studied their tactics for years. More Krogloth ships fell, their shields failing under the relentless assault. Krelvok's claws dug into the armrests of his command chair, his rage building with each passing moment. "Enough of this," he snarled. "All ships commence orbital bombardment of the planet. Let's see how they like it when their cities are burning." The Krogloth fleet descended on Earth like a swarm of locusts, their weapons primed and ready. They targeted the largest population centers first, raining down plasma fire and incendiary bombs. The humans on the surface must have been caught completely off guard, Krelvok thought with a cruel smile. But then, just as the bombardment reached its peak, the humans struck back. A barrage of nuclear missiles erupted from hidden silos on the planet's surface, streaking towards the Krogloth fleet with alarming speed. "Brace for impact," Krelvok shouted, but it was too late. The missiles slammed into the Krogloth ships, tearing through their hulls like they were made of paper. The nuclear blasts were so bright that Krelvok had to shield his eyes, even from the safety of the bridge. When the glare faded, Krelvok saw that more than a dozen of his ships had been crippled or destroyed outright. The human fleet, sensing weakness, pressed their attack even harder. "Retreat," Krelvok said through gritted teeth. "All ships, fall back to the edge of the system. We need to regroup and rethink our strategy." As the battered Krogloth fleet limped away from Earth, Krelvok couldn't help but feel a grudging respect for the humans. They had proven themselves to be far more formidable than he had ever imagined. But this was only the beginning, he vowed silently. The Krogloth would return, and when they did, the humans would learn the true meaning of conquest. The news of Krelvok's defeat reached Vomar's command ship like a shockwave. The warlord's eyes blazed with fury as he listened to the report, his claws digging into the armrests of his throne. "Defeated by a primitive species," Miss Vomar roared, his voice echoing through the cavernous chamber. "Krelvok, you have failed me for the last time." The subordinate commander cowered before Vomar, his head bowed in submission. "Forgive me, Supreme Commander, the humans, they were stronger than we anticipated." Vomar rose from his throne, his massive frame towering over Krelvok. "I don't want excuses, I want results. You will return to Earth with a fleet 10 times the size of your previous one. Raise their cities to the ground. Enslave their people. I want them to know the true might of the Krogloth Empire." Krelvok nodded, his eyes still fixed on the floor. "As you command, Supreme Commander." As Krelvok left to prepare for the second assault, Vomar turned to his advisors. "These humans have proven themselves to be a formidable foe, but they will soon learn the price of defiance." On Earth, the mood was somber as the human leaders gathered in a secure bunker deep beneath the surface. The room was dimly lit, with a holographic display of the planet floating in the center. Admiral John Hawkins stood at the head of the table, his face lined with exhaustion. "We've bought ourselves some time, but it won't last long. The Krogloth will be back, and in greater numbers." The other leaders murmured in agreement, their expressions grim. "What do you propose, Admiral?" asked the President of the United Nations. Hawkins leaned forward, his eyes gleaming with intensity. "We need to strike at the heart of their empire. If we can cripple their command structure, we might have a chance of ending this war once and for all." The room fell silent as the leaders considered his words. "How do you suggest we do that?" asked the Prime Minister of the European Union. Hawkins brought up a new image on the display, showing a schematic of a Krogloth warship. "We send in a small team of our best soldiers. They'll infiltrate the Krogloth homeworld and sabotage their central command. It's a risky plan, but it's our only shot." The President of the United States frowned. "You're talking about a suicide mission, Admiral." Hawkins nodded. "I won't lie to you, the odds of success are slim, but if we don't try, we're all dead anyway." The leaders exchanged glances, weighing the options. Finally, the President of the UN spoke. "Very well, Admiral. You have our authorization to proceed. Choose your team carefully. The fate of our species rests on their shoulders." Hawkins saluted, his expression determined. "I won't let you down, ma'am. We'll show the Krogloth what humans are made of." As the meeting adjourned, Hawkins couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a long and bloody war. But he knew that the human spirit was unbreakable and that they would fight to their last breath to defend their home. Captain Michael Maverick Johnson checked his gear one last time as the stealth shuttle approached the Krogloth homeworld. His team, handpicked for their skills and bravery, sat in tense silence around him. They all knew the stakes of this mission. The fate of Earth, and perhaps the entire galaxy, rested on their shoulders. "All right, listen up," Maverick said, his voice cutting through the hum of the engines. "We've got one shot at this. We get in, plant the explosives, and get out. No heroics, no mistakes, understood?" A chorus of "Yes, sir" echoed through the cabin. The shuttle shuddered as it entered the planet's atmosphere, its cloaking device masking it from the Krogloth sensors. Maverick gripped his rifle tighter, his heart pounding in his chest. As they landed in a remote canyon, the team quickly disembarked and made their way towards the towering spires of the Krogloth capital city. The air was thick with the stench of pollution and decay, a testament to the Empire's disregard for life. Maverick led his team through the winding streets, avoiding patrols and surveillance drones. They stuck to the shadows, their black combat suits blending into the darkness. But as they drew closer to the central command building, they began to see the true horror of the Krogloth Empire. Alien slaves, their bodies bruised and broken, toiled in the streets under the watchful eyes of their cruel masters. The Krogloth overseers lashed out with electrified whips, their laughter mixing with the screams of their victims. Maverick felt a surge of anger course through him. This was what they were fighting against. This was why they had to succeed. They reached the command building without incident, slipping past the guards and into the ventilation system. Maverick's heart raced as they crawled through the tight metal shafts, the explosives strapped to their backs. Finally, they reached the central control room. Maverick signaled to his team, and they dropped down from the vents, their weapons at the ready. But before they could plant the explosives, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Vomar himself, his eyes blazing with fury. "Did you really think you could infiltrate my empire so easily?" the warlord growled, his claws flexing. Maverick stepped forward, his rifle aimed at Vomar's head. "It ends here, Vomar. Your reign of terror is over." The warlord laughed, a cruel, guttural sound. "You are nothing human, you are insects beneath my feet." With a roar, Vomar charged forward, his claws slashing through the air. Maverick dodged and rolled, firing his rifle as he moved. The rest of the team engaged the Krogloth guards, their weapons flashing in the dim light. Maverick and Vomar fought hand to hand, trading blows and grappling for dominance. Vomar was stronger, his muscles rippling beneath his scaly hide. But Maverick was faster, and he used that to his advantage. He ducked under a swipe of Vomar's claws and delivered a crushing uppercut to the warlord's jaw. Vomar staggered back, his eyes wide with surprise. "Now!" Maverick shouted to his team. They moved as one, planting the explosives and setting the timers. Vomar roared in fury and charged again, but Maverick was ready. He sidestepped the attack and grabbed the detonator from his belt. "This is for every life you've taken, every world you've destroyed," Maverick said, his finger hovering over the button. Vomar's eyes widened in fear as he realized what was about to happen. He lunged forward, but it was too late. Maverick pressed the button, and the world exploded in a blaze of fire and shrapnel. The command center collapsed around them, burying Vomar and his guards in a pile of rubble. Maverick and his team raced back to the shuttle, dodging falling debris and secondary explosions. They had done it. They had struck a blow against the heart of the Krogloth Empire. But as they lifted off, Maverick knew that this was only the beginning. The war was far from over, and there would be more battles to come. The shockwave of Vomar's death rippled through the Krogloth Empire like a seismic tremor. Without their supreme commander's iron grip, the once unified force fractured into disarray. Warlords turned on each other, vying for power in the sudden vacuum. Fleets were recalled to protect individual fiefdoms, leaving conquered worlds vulnerable and exposed. On those subjugated planets, whispers of the humans' victory spread like wildfire. The enslaved races, long crushed under the heel of Krogloth oppression, found a spark of hope in the tales of Maverick's bravery. Clandestine meetings were held in the shadows, plans were hatched, and makeshift weapons were forged in secret. The uprising began on a small mining colony, where a group of Zorgian slaves overpowered their guards and seized control of the facility. They broadcast a message of defiance across the galaxy, urging others to join the fight. The flames of rebellion spread from world to world as the downtrodden masses rose up against their Krogloth masters. Admiral Hawkins, seeing an opportunity to strike, rallied the human fleet for a final push. "This is our chance," he said, his voice ringing with conviction. "We've broken their command. Now let's shatter their hold on the galaxy." The human ships, battle-scarred but unbowed, set out to liberate the enslaved worlds. They struck hard and fast, catching the Krogloth forces off guard. The once mighty warships, now crewed by demoralized and infighting soldiers, fell before the human onslaught. Planet by planet, system by system, the Krogloth grip on the galaxy loosened. Freed slaves joined the fight, swelling the ranks of the human-led coalition. The Krogloth, once the scourge of the stars, found themselves on the defensive, their empire crumbling around them. In a final desperate gambit, Krelvok gathered the remnants of his fleet for a last stand at the heart of Krogloth space. But as he looked out at the ragtag armada of human and alien ships arrayed against him, he knew the end had come. With a heavy heart, he signaled his surrender, the fight gone out of him. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Hawkins accepted Krelvok's capitulation. "You fought well, Admiral," the Krogloth said, his voice tinged with respect. "Your species has shown a strength and tenacity we never expected." Hawkins nodded solemnly. "We fight for freedom, Krelvok, for the right of all species to determine their own destiny. That's a power that can't be conquered." In the aftermath of the war, the galaxy began to heal. The freed races, guided by human diplomats, formed a new alliance based on cooperation and mutual respect. Earth, once a backwater planet, found itself at the center of this new order, its people hailed as the saviors of the galaxy. Maverick, the hero of the hour, stood on the observation deck of the human flagship, gazing out at the stars. The weight of the sacrifices made, the friends lost, hung heavy on his shoulders. But as he watched alien and human ships glide past in unity, he knew that their fight had been worth it. The galaxy's future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. The days of the strong preying on the weak were over. A new era had begun, one where all races would stand together against any threat. And the humans, once dismissed as primitives, would be at the forefront of this brave new frontier. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.